Have you ever wondered why you're so lazy? Why you can't seem to bring yourself to do the things that you should do? Well, I have. But once I discovered one simple thing, everything made sense. I used to think that I was lazy, that something was wrong with me. I used to always struggle in school. I wouldn't get the best grades. I wouldn't be able to listen to the teacher and what they were explaining. My mind would be wandering. I wouldn't really focus myself and actually apply myself. And I thought something was wrong with me. And that really affected me. But I did something that made me realize that I am not lazy. And that was starting this channel. So I started the channel. I started making videos, started becoming more confident, and I actually enjoyed the process. It was very hard, but also very, very fulfilling. It was like pain that was worth it, that I actually enjoyed having. And that was the first shift that made me think, okay, maybe I'm not lazy. Maybe I was just doing things that I truly do not care about. And that's what I want to talk to you about. And if you've been told that you're lazy and undisciplined and that you can't work properly, you can't focus, and you think that something is wrong with you, then I'm making this video for you to know that there's nothing wrong with you. And that more than likely what's happening is that what you're doing does not fulfill you at all. And we need to fix that. The first thing we need to do is that you need to stop looking at your laziness as a flaw, as something that's wrong with you. It's not. It's a signal. Something is obviously happening. And for me, what happened, and I believe for you, is that I was doing things that I truly did not give a shit about. I did not really care about studying and getting good grades and all of that. And while sometimes we need to do things like that to get by, obviously, you need to find something you're truly obsessed about. You need to find something that makes work meaningful, something that makes you think, okay, this is hard, and you smile through it and you enjoy it. You need to start paying attention to what you truly enjoy. You need to start looking at the strengths that you have and the weaknesses, what lights you up and what just drains you. And you need to dedicate a lot of time to what you enjoy. You need to become obsessed about it. And once you do that, laziness all of a sudden is not a thing anymore. The best thing to do that, to find a thing, is just find your purpose. That's essentially what it is, right? If you find something that you can bring to this world that fulfills you and you become obsessed about, you're unstoppable. The hard thing is finding it. So what you can find is what I call micro-purpose, Why micro? Because it's tiny. It's tiny little bits of purpose. There is meaning to your daily actions, to actions that seem small and not really dramatic. Like, oh, I'll study for this test and this test. And while the macro purpose could be you want to become a doctor, for example, you need to get very good grades. But you might not find yourself being highly motivated when you have to study or do the test to get to good grades. And that's because it's no longer directly a macro purpose. You're not focused on becoming a doctor, you're focused on the test. So you need to let go of the macro purpose for a little bit and think of the micro purpose, which is the meaning that each of your actions will lead to. So really micro purpose is that, just a bunch of actions that one stacked on top of the other gets you closer to your macro purpose, the big goal, the big purpose. And you need to remind yourself of those things when you are struggling to work, because even when you find purpose and it just makes everything easier, you work a lot more and it's much easier to work. Sometimes you're like, I don't want to do it today or something. We're human, right? We all have that. So connecting the micro purpose to the macro purpose, by doing that, you connect a little bridge and you're like, oh, this makes sense. There's a path here. And that's what I do even with YouTube. I wasn't really feeling like recording this video, to be honest with you. I wasn't. But I'm kind of enjoying this right now. And this is an example of a micro purpose, right? It's a tiny little purpose. It's just one video. Maybe I can help a few people. And then after years of doing videos like this, I get the macro purpose, right? I get the big goal. But I need to remind myself that to get that big goal, I need to do the little micro purpose actions, which is this. So laziness isn't the flaw. You know you got to do micro purpose actions, but what the fuck do you actually do? Like, what is there to do? Right, what is there to do? That's the answer or the question that only you can answer. And you answer these questions by thinking of your intrinsic desires, your intrinsic motivation. Basically, the motivation that doesn't come from trying to impress others or being seen as in a certain way, but something that truly fulfills you from within, something that you've always wanted to try without like suggestions from others. For example, if you always watched basketball games and maybe you didn't play that much or people just didn't really talk about it. So it's basically not from external stuff, right? From other people. If you've always wanted to play basketball, that's intrinsic motivation right there. It's something that fulfills you, right? You have always wanted to do that. And once you do once you do chase something like that to become fulfilled, it's it's miles ahead of just doing what other people want. Because when you do something other people want, sure, you can succeed in everything, but there's always something missing. It's a little bit empty. It doesn't have to be totally empty. Like if you get rich just for other people's approval, it's not all bad, of course. I mean, it'd be amazing to be rich, right? But still, at the end of it, it's like, I did all this for them, and I don't want that for you, right? That's a waste of time and a waste of a life. So you need to find something that fulfills you from within. You need to write these things down. You need to ask yourself, for example, what would you do for free if you didn't get paid or assume that you are rich already? What would you do after that? People don't really think about that. They're like, why? Because you're always working until retirement. And then in retirement, people don't want to do anything. Well, that's what they think. So you got to zoom out. Like separate that script of normal life and just think, okay, wait, let's assume for a second that I am rich. I got all the money in the world. What do I do? Sure, you could pursue hedonism, you could rent yachts, you could buy cars, you could do all these things, buy a bunch of watches, whatever. But I mean, after a little bit of doing that, it kind of gets old, doesn't it? That wouldn't fulfill you. It would be fun. Like in the short term, it'd be cool, yeah, amazing. But what after like 6 months of doing that or a year? You're going to do that for the next few decades until you die? Probably not, right? So you need to think of something that you would do when you had like every like external factor fulfilled. So if you want like imagine you wanted status from other people, or and that's why you would get the money and things like that. What if you had everything? What if you had the money, the physique? Right, you got everything. People are like 100% like in awe of looking at you. What now? Again, you could just enjoy it, but eventually you got to do something. And that's what I mean. You need to find something that fulfills you. If there weren't all these factors, what truly makes you feel alive and proud of yourself? That makes you like look in the mirror and go, you know what? Like I'm proud of that man right there. That's what you need to follow. So I help men find their life's purpose. If you are interested in that and in need of advice like that, I will be launching a product. There should be a link in the description. Maybe there isn't one right now. If there isn't a link, it's because the product is not launched yet. But eventually, there will be a link. Thanks for watching. Strive for progress, not perfection.